prior to COVID world on a cold, rainy day like today. Walking to the train, taking the train, going to the office. It wasn't awesome. So this is kind of nice that my commute was from my bedroom to my kitchen this morning. I stayed dry the whole entire time. So before we get started, today Angie is our assistant instructor. So Angie, are you able to take yourself off mute?
Hello, I made a PowerPoint for the question and everything, but I'm trying to get connected with my computer.
Wow,
But
Angie, you have done more work than I have. Maybe I should be the assistant instructor and you should be the instructor of this class. What do you think?
I
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I have a very dry sense of humor. Some people think it's hilarious, and most people are like, I don't get it, Eric. So, well, as you go ahead and get that pulled up, Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from?
um I'm from Colombia. Um I came here when I was around 13.
Cool.
Um but then because I have such a good grades, they passed me straight to high school.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know English. But I guess for me the classes were really easy because I knew how to read and write English. Like I learned how to do that first
Mm-hmm.
than speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't like to talk because many people used to make fun of my accent.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to college, everybody like, oh my god, I like your accent. And then I started talking a little bit more.
Cool. Awesome. That's one of the things I never understood about people is like, if you make fun of someone's accent, it's like, yeah, but how many languages do you speak? It's like, oh, I speak one. It's like, yeah, this person speaks two or three or four or five. So like, why don't you just, take a hike? I never got that. Anyways, I'm not. So Angie, so you okay? Cool. You're from Colombia. You've been living in New York for a good while. Why did you join Europe, Angie?
Because I don't know, like I have many I don't know what I want to do yet, like for like a final career.
Uh huh.
I'm still like confused. And then when I saw this opportunity, I'm like, oh, maybe this could help me like a little bit more to understand what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because they say that you don't have to be an expert at something, but you guys take like whatever you guys are, like whatever you're good at, and then they help you with your things that you're not good at.
Yeah, absolutely. So glad to hear it. And the third question. Oh, there we go. Looks like
Okay,
you're
so
okay. You
yeah, I'm
got
gonna
it.
connect with
Okay.
my computer.
Look at that. That was good timing. So now we got your computer and your phone. Okay, cool. And the third question is, what's a fun fact about you or something interesting?
A fun fact. I'm a black belt in judo.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. That takes a lot of discipline. How long did it take you to earn that belt? All right. I think you just switched. Okay, back.
Okay, it took me well, since I was in Colombia, I was doing it like since I was little. And then
Wow.
when I got here, I just finished up the other like the last process, and then but I haven't done it since a long time.
Okay.
More expensive.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's amazing. A black belt in judo. See all the things you learn about your participants. We're all so talented. Okay. So last question. Oh, there we go, Angie. Thanks. Is what was the question that you wanted to ask to our team?
And let me pull it out. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
And okay. So my question is, what is your biggest fear, and what is something that you do so it doesn't affect your life?
Oh, good question, Angie. Very, very deep and philosophical on Tuesday morning. So, as people go ahead and put in a chat box what their biggest fear is and what they're aiming to do, so that their fears don't come true. Angie, what's your biggest fear, and what are you doing to make sure? Today is Wednesday. I know we didn't have class, Chelsea, on Monday, so I'm like really confused. Today is Wednesday. Thank you. So Angie, my biggest fear, you know what my biggest fear is? Getting called out by people in class. I don't know the day. I'm just kidding. Angie, what's your biggest fear? And what are you doing to make sure that you don't give into it?
My biggest fear is like the stairs that are like really like horizontal. I don't know how to explain it.
Right, I know what you mean.
So what I do, for example, when I went to China for the Great Wall of China, like the stairs are really little and they're really horizontal. And I didn't want to go up there, but I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna come here and then not do it. So even though it took me 2 hours, I ended up just doing the whole thing.
Wow, good for you. So you definitely had some courage for sure.
Yeah,
And
it
for
doesn't matter. Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no,
It
go ahead.
doesn't matter how long it takes you, as long as you do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you do it. So let's see here. So Dondre said the Brian said the darkness. I think that was the first one. Not reaching my potential. Dondre says bed bugs. Alex says the biggest fear is the unknown. Sophia says the ocean. Randy says. Tyrell says it used to be like Chucky, like the little doll. Yeah, I guess he's pretty scary. I am in the same boat as Chels. I hate snakes. They terrify me. And then Dondre says bed bugs will swarm you because you're the only heat source in the room. Okay. Snakes don't bother you. I remember when I was younger, I used to work at a summer camp, and I used to play with snakes. Wow, Sophia, you're much more brave than me and Chelsea, I guess. And this guy found this like little snake that was like 6 inches long. Like, it was really tiny out in the woods, and he like showed it to me. And I kid you guys not, like I ran away. Like I was so afraid of this little tiny like snake. Spiders, yeah. Interestingly enough, my wife hates bugs. Like I don't really mind bugs. Like if there's a roach like in our apartment, I'll just smash it with my bare hand. Like I don't care. But yeah, she like is like terrified of them, but snakes, she's like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Snakes are fine. Yeah, I lose my mind. Yeah, same with me, Chelsea. If I see like small little snake, even if I know like intellectually it's not gonna hurt me, I just still get terrified. Those things just freak me out. All right, Angie, thank you so much for making the PowerPoint. Excellent job. You can stop sharing your screen, and we're gonna go ahead and get. So yeah, Alex says I actually thought of that. Yeah, being the only heat source. Yeah, my cousin got bed bugs and it literally like ruined his life for like a month. It's not awesome. It's not like you just get rid of it in a day. It's like he had to move out of his apartment, he had to get the whole entire place sprayed. It was a really big mess. So yeah, bed bugs, if you get those, you're not days ruined, like your month is ruined. So one of the things that we do in project management is we always try to reiterate what we learned, what we talked about, to make sure we're all on the same page. So why don't you go ahead and put into the chat box, what did we talk about yesterday? What can you recall were some of the things that we spoke about during our course yesterday? Let's see who remembers what happened 24 hours ago. Yep, we started off the day. Thank you, Alexander. Open-ended questions. Examples of projects versus daily tasks. Yep. We talked about the difference between a project and a routine. Yep. Science, what is the difference between a project and a routine activity? Can you please unmute yourself and explain that?
A project is something that you don't do every day or you don't do on a regular basis. A routine activity is the opposite.
Thank you so much for science. Appreciate that. Yes, we went to New Zealand. Some of us went there by boat. Some of us went there by cruise. I think one person tried to swim there in another class, which, I mean, that's really impressive. Awesome. And I see that Tyrell, I want to talk about this, the 5 steps of project management. So in the chat box, who remembers what step 1 is in project management? There's 5 steps. Step 1 is Dondre, you got it. Initiation. Dondre, unmute yourself and explain what initiation is in a project.
Initiation is the initial thought or the idea of the project. So if you say, I want to start collecting sneakers, so then you would go out and then start that.
Yep, absolutely. It's like the problem, basically. You're trying to solve a problem. Maybe your problem is my sneakers are not cool. I don't have enough of them. So you're like, I want to, yeah, the spark. Thank you. That's a good way to look at it. It's the idea that's like, okay, I need, this needs to get done. I need to get this project accomplished. The initiation, the very first step. So you're all a smart group. What's number 2? Initiation, then it's, yep, Chelsea P got it right. Planning, what's planning look like in project management? What does that mean? Chelsea, do you mind unmuting yourself and sharing?
So after you establish what you're going to do, now you have to figure out exactly how it's going to play out. Maybe the length of it, how many people you're going to include, budget. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep, absolutely. There's a quote that I love that I want to make sure I get it right. It says, failure to plan is a plan to failure. So yes, you have the idea, and sometimes people jump from idea to execution. I just gave the third one away. There you go. That was a freebie. You have to make sure you have the planning process in between that. And Chelsea, she nailed it. That's exactly right. Who's involved with this? How long is it going to take? How much money is it going to cost? All those questions have to be answered before you get the ball rolling. So we talked about the first 3: initiation, planning, execution. What's the 4th one? This is the one people tend to forget, but very critical. Sophia, right? Execution, execution we already covered. Angie wrote monitoring. She got it right. Angie, what is monitoring in a project management?
To make sure that you're on track with your spending, or if you're going on the right way to do your goal.
Yes, exactly. So you have the idea, you plan, you're going to execute, and then execution and monitoring, they kind of go hand in hand, but you're making sure that things are going according to plan, as Angie said very well. And then you finally finish up your project and you have what is called the what. Chelsea P got it right. Closing. Does somebody, we have a small class today. How about Justice? Can you unmute yourself and explain what closing is in project management?
Closing is pretty much, I guess, overall going over like the results and stuff of the project and making sure that everyone understands the, I guess, gain from it.
Yes, absolutely. You're in some project management thought process, they actually have what's called a post-mortem. I don't particularly like that language because I think it sounds kind of morbid, but essentially what it's saying is our project is done. Now let's go back and see what went well, what went wrong, what we can improve for next time. Europe is very good at this. We're very good at going back and saying, okay, we're finished, but we're not totally done yet because we want to go back and make sure everything is closed up, everything is good. All right, so those are the 5 steps in project management. Excellent job. We already talked about the difference between a project and day-to-day work, where Science did a great job with that. So last question I have before we move on to today's topic is, why should you care about project management? Like, here you are, you're in Europe, you're going into investment operations, you want to go work at JP Morgan or Goldman or one of these big financial firms. Like, why should you care about project management? Why does it matter in the workforce? Give you a second to put in the chat box. Yeah, Brian, it makes you a better leader. In what ways, Brian?
When you're a project manager, you kind of choose and you assign tasks to people. So you have to be a good leader and a good people person to establish who's going to work on what.
Absolutely. Project management is such a great skill because it does both of those things. It gives you the opportunity to work with people, to collaborate, to understand what needs to get done, but then also keeping a handle on the tasks as well. And Alexander says, yeah, you can get a 96K salary on average. That's a pretty good salary if you ask me. Develop skills, Chelsea, absolutely. You can build skills when it says that you don't have to think about it. Shows you can work on a team. Yeah, all of the above. I mean, these, like I said yesterday, when you have a job or a career, you kind of have your regular tasks that you do every single day. You check email, you have meetings with your manager, you do all that kind of stuff, but you're also going to have projects. You're also going to have assignments that you're going to know how to do and know how to do well, because what we say, Dondre said is spot on. Like, if you're a person that can handle projects, you're adding value to the organization, and it gives you opportunities for promotions and all that good stuff down the road. All right, so what we're gonna do is one of the my philosophies of teaching is I hate showing YouTube videos through Zoom because they just look crappy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link for a YouTube video. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Put yourself off camera, watch this YouTube video, and we're going to come back and discuss it in 10. All right. Thanks. All right, folks, it's 9:26. Go ahead and come back to on camera. Can someone please do me a favor? I'm going to talk about the chat box items here in a moment. But before we do that, can someone raise their hand and tell me, like, what is a stakeholder? This whole entire video is about managing stakeholders. But what exactly is that? It's a term you're going to hear probably every single class for the next 7 weeks. So it's important that we have a good definition of what a stakeholder is, and also what a stakeholder isn't. She touched on that a little bit in her video. Can someone raise their hand, their virtual hand, not their physical hand, but their virtual hand on the right side, and explain this is what a stakeholder is? Yes, Sophia.
I believe it would be a person who like owns the project that the project manager is responsible for and who like budgets it and stuff.
Yep, those are definitely stakeholders, people who own the project, who manage the budget. They're definitely invested in the good of the project. Thank you so much, Sophia. Brian?
I was going to say what I put in the chat box, people with common interest on the success of the company or the project. Yep, definitely. Stakeholders will have a common interest in the success. Absolutely. And looks like that was the same thing Angie was going to say. Renish, you have anything to add?
Yeah, a stakeholder who shares any common risk in the business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and thank you so much. And while you're off mute, let me ask you a question, Renish. She put getting to know the stakeholders is important for a project manager. Why is that so important?
So when you know the project manager personally, you're able to build a better connection. That's one. And two, you're able to execute better, knowing like what the expectations of the project manager, of the stakeholder is.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. One of the most important skills that you can possess as a project manager is the ability to communicate with everybody who's involved. Dondre says touch base. Absolutely. Tyrell, preventative tips and cues. Science, great point. Chelsea, great point. Love it. So yeah, that was just a short video. Oh yeah, Sophia, that was a good line. An ounce of prevention equals a pound of cure. So when you're a project manager, you have to begin to think through like one step ahead of everybody else. You always want to have your thought process that way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to go ahead and get started with the lecture portion of today's workshop. Angie, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So we already answered this question earlier, but the need for a project always begins by a problem, right? I have a problem. I need to fix my problem. So here's some examples of some problems that happen that require the need of a new project. So like for one example I want to share with you, which I think is very interesting as a case study, is Domino's Pizza. So maybe some of you remember this, some of you don't, but maybe like a decade ago, Domino's Pizza was a very small percentage of the pizza market share in America. Like nobody ever ordered from Domino's. Their pizza was disgusting. And they decided to switch up their whole entire business model to become more like a tech company and less like a pizza delivery place. And I don't know how many of you guys remember this, but I remember when I was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe they got that little like really cool, like pizza tracker thing where you could like order your pizza and it would like show like it going in the oven and you could like change. Anyways, I'm talking a lot about pizza. That's just an example of a project, right? These folks, they saw, hey, we're not doing so hot. Pizza Hut, Papa John's, whatever else is out there. Like they're crushing us. Like we need to change our whole entire business model. And they did based on market demands. And now they have a much larger market share than they did, a few years back. Another example, of course, is mandatory government changes. So like we at Year Up are experiencing it right now. We are we're experiencing that we can't meet in person because it's against government regulations to meet in person right now. So we have to change, our whole model. Of course, process improvement. How can we make things better? Maybe a new product release for those of us who have iPhones or Androids. We have, an understanding that every time a new phone is released, it goes through the project management process, right? So I say all that to say that every project starts with a problem. That's important to remember. So remember, that's a key point. We'll talk about this more, but I'll be more discussed in our initiation phase tomorrow. So here's an example of kind of the people that are involved with a project and project management. The very bottom here, let me go ahead and get my you see, this is the project sponsor. Does somebody want to unmute themselves and take a stab at what they think the project sponsor does? Like, why are they important for the success in a project? Unmute yourself and answer if you think you know. I can't see the chat box when I have the screen on. Funds, yeah, there you go. Thank you, Alex. So funds. So the project sponsor, this is the person that says, yeah, I'm going to pay for this project. I'm going to make sure it gets off the ground. A lot of people get confused by this. Like, wait, doesn't the customer like pay for a project? And the answer is yes, they eventually will, but you have to still get it off the ground. Like if you're going to start a new app, like you have to have funds to get the app going. Maybe down the road you monetize on the app, but to get it started, you need funds. The next role is the project manager. We all are growing in our understanding of what that is. This is essentially the person who's like in charge of everything. They're liaisoning with the project sponsors, they're liaisoning with the project management team and the project team and the project stakeholders. So this is a really critical function. This is why you make 6 figures doing this job, because you're that person. You're getting hit from all sides. You're getting emails at 2 in the morning. You're getting urgent requests regularly. That's what a project manager does. The difference between a project management team and the project team is the project team are sort of the ICs, individual contributors that are, doing the everyday tasks. The project management team is overseeing those individual contributors for very large scale projects. And the last one is project stakeholders. This is every single person who's going to be touched or going to be impacted by this project. So that this graphic is important to know and identify, but really, we're going to spend most of our time during this course talking about this. What does a project manager do? What is their role? All right, let me go to my next slide. Clear everything. All right, project sponsor. As Alex said, this is the person that provides the resources, and ultimately, this is the person who's the decision maker. So if this person says, hey, this project is not working out, I'm pulling the plug, they have the right to do that. They have a crucial role in the development of the project scope, which we'll discuss more in the project charter as well. But this is an example of the project sponsor. This is the person funding the project. So let's tease this out a little bit. Imagine they want to build a new train line in New York City. Who's the project sponsor? In the chat box, what do you think? Who's funding that project? Alexander says the taxpayer, taxes, government. Yep, basically, yeah, it's exactly the city and or state of New York. So if you live in New York City, you live in New York State, your tax dollars are going towards that new train line. That's the project sponsor. So next is project manager, ensures the project is executed on time. This is the person who's going to be in charge of everything. Some of you said MTA for this answer. So the next question is that project manager, who is that for the new train line? The example, that would be the MTA. A person in the MTA or a team of people in the MTA, they're the project managers. They're the ones making sure everything goes there, New York City Transit. And then, of course, the last question, stakeholders. They're building a new train line. Your taxes pay for it. MTA manages it. Who are the stakeholders? What do you think in the chat box? Think big. I'll give you a hint. Think wide. Who's impacted by a new train line? Yes, Yoel, exactly right. People who use the MTA, the people, users, customers, literally everybody, right? If a new train line got built, in New York City, anybody who's using that train line is impacted by the project. So, let me go back a page. So imagine they want to build a new train line in New York City. Who are the stakeholders? Everybody who's been, riding that train or impacted, or even you could even go as far as say, like, what if you don't ride that train, but you live on the block that they're building the train line on? Are you a stakeholder? Of course you are. You're going to hear people drilling and pounding things and breaking up streets. And yeah, you're like, I'm invested in this process getting done as quickly as possible because it's really annoying to have this happening on my block. Right now, my whole entire building is surrounded by scaffolding, and today's actually kind of a quiet day because I think it's raining. But yeah, every single day I just hear loud noises outside of my window, and it's not easy when you got kids trying to take naps, and sometimes adults trying to take naps too. Isn't that happening now with the fracking in Brooklyn? I'm not sure what that is, Tyrell. Do you want to unmute yourself and explain what's going on? You're on mute, Tyrell.
They're trying to build a pipeline that runs through Brooklyn.
Okay.
And a lot of people are saying like it's a frack out of Brooklyn.
Wow, I have to research that.
Protests and like sitting in on the pipeline building because they don't want the pipe built on stolen land.
Gotcha. Because of the like what's the rationale? Because of the bad for the environment?
I think it's the environment and they're stealing from native lands.
Yeah. And they're probably destroying neighborhoods in the process, right? That's the other thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how the city of New York, and I'm sure all cities are this way, but it feels like we'll destroy whole entire communities to turn a profit, and that's not awesome. But that's where we're all stakeholders, right? We're all stakeholders in our communities and events that happen. So what we're gonna do is we got about 40 more minutes of class left, and we're gonna do a breakout activity. So you can pick one of these 4 projects. The first project is imagine you and your team. You're going to build a new bridge. This would cause a lot of controversy going from Brooklyn to Jersey. So people say, hey, I'm going to, I want to go from, I don't know, Tyrell, you're from Brooklyn? No. Okay. Who here's from Brooklyn can raise your hand. All right, Dondre, what neighborhood in Brooklyn would make sense to go from Brooklyn to, let's say, Jersey City? I don't know anything about Brooklyn because I live in the Bronx. I go to Brooklyn like once a year, if that. Let's just say, how about we just say Dumbo? Because that's the only neighborhood I know in Brooklyn. All right, you go from Dumbo to Jersey City. You're gonna build a bridge. You're gonna build a bridge going there. Okay, this is the above ground shooting through Manhattan. That's what you're gonna do. Or you're going to create a how to succeed manual. So upcoming class, you and your colleagues, that's going to be one long bridge. Yes. You and your colleagues are going to come together. You're going to create a manual for future participants in Europe, how to succeed. You can choose option 3, renovating your own apartment, or option 4, a project of your own choosing. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into breakouts here in a moment. And then you can pick which one of these 4 you want to choose, completely up to your discretion. I'll give you about 12 to 15 minutes to kind of talk through what you want to do. What you need to do is you need to identify project sponsors, the project manager, and kind of who are the stakeholders in that. All right. So if I'll make one easy for you. So if I was renovating my apartment, sponsor, the Hoke family is a sponsor. We're paying for that, right? Who's the project manager? The contractor that I hire, and who are the stakeholders? Well, my family are stakeholders, but not only that, but the next door neighbor's a stakeholder. The neighbors below us are stakeholders. Everyone that lives in my building is a stakeholder because it's going to up the use of the building. So that's just kind of the way I want you to spend some time thinking about it. So if you choose renovate the apartment, 80% of your work is already done. All right. Any questions on this breakout? So you can pick which one you want, or you can choose your own, and we'll come back at 9:50. Welcome back. So I know that you all are investment operations students. Do any of you invest in stocks right now, the stock market? No, not yet.
Yeah.
You do, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Are your stocks taking a beating right now?
Absolutely not, because most of it came from when I bought in March.
Okay.
So I'm still up in most of them. And plus, these are for like 20 years down the line. So I don't even look at my portfolio sometimes in days like this.
Yeah. I know I shouldn't. Everyone tells me to delete the app off my phone because, like, especially with the election coming up, there's obviously a lot of, it's very volatile right now. And don't get too freaked out if things are going south.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
I know.
I don't want to give myself a heart attack. So.
Yeah, I just did because while you guys were in your breakout, I'm like, let me look at my stocks. And it's like, oh, great, you're down 10% this week. Awesome. And all my, my advisors like, do not look at your stocks during an election cycle. Like, just don't. You're going to give yourself a heart attack. So,
like now, like if I don't plan on selling, I'm not going to look at it.
Yeah, you're a wiser man than me. I got to delete my Robinhood app and instead like read something positive, read some affirmations or something.
You got to offload it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Anyways, with that being said, now that I'm in, that great headspace to learn that I've lost a bunch of money this past week, let's go ahead and start with group number 1, Alex, Chelsea, Randy, Sophia. Who was your designated spokesperson?
I'll designate myself.
Awesome, Randy. Love it. Great leadership. Great project manager right there. So what was your project and how did you have the conversation about how things went?
Okay, so I actually do live by myself, and I say this all the time because I like to brag about it. But so I'm renovating my apartment.
Oh, cool.
That's my plan before the end of February. So I want to do all of that. So I am the sponsor, unfortunately. The project manager is also me.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So my project management team consists of contractors, painters, and I guess also me, because I am doing some of the work myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also one other person who's a stakeholder is anybody who comes over to your place. They get to enjoy your renovated apartment.
Okay, so that's somebody I'll put as stakeholder. Okay.
Yeah, because they're coming. Oh man, Randy, you did a good job in here. Looks great. It's a lot more comfortable than it used to be. So awesome. Well, good for you. So you're doing your own renovation plus being in year up.
Yeah.
You got a lot going on.
I definitely do. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Group 1. Group 2, Brian, Jose, Justice, Ranish. Who was your spokesperson? Yeah, Brian.
I'm the spokesperson for ours. So for ours, we chose our own project, and it was to create a new public park.
Cool.
So for us, we chose that the project sponsor would be the taxpayers and or the city, since they administrate where the funds go.
Mm-hmm.
The project manager would be either a city chosen contractor or Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
And then stakeholders are going to be basically like anyone who lives in the community that's going to use the park.
Nice. I love it. Thank you so much, Group 2. Group 3, Rescience, Soraya, Tyrell, Noel.
So what we decided to do was look more into the building the bridge from Brooklyn.
Cool.
Because we're just more curious about it. So we decided to look at the park slope areas or the Red Hook area.
Mm-hmm.
Since it was a bit closer to the water and it would just be easier to build a bridge. What we were saying is that the sponsors will be all taxpayers because that's where we'll get the funding to build the bridge. Project manager, we would have to look into a third party to, get the actual project to, in action. And then the stakeholders would be everyone who is going to use the bridge and everyone who the bridge is affecting, because I'm sure it'll cause like traffic jams because of construction, and it'll just cause a lot of inopportune scenarios for everyone, but it'll also benefit a lot of people. So it depends. And we even said the government because there might be tolls included on the bridge. So.
Sure. Are you guys prepared for all the protests that are going to happen all in Lower Manhattan when they find out there's a bridge going over all their neighborhoods? You're prepared for that? Okay.
I mean, they're already trying to make that part of Brooklyn a mini Manhattan. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, very good. Thank you so much, group. And group number 4, Angie, Dondre, and Preciosa. What was your project?
So our project was to build the bridge from Dumbo to New Jersey.
Okay.
So we said that the stakeholders would be the New York City and New Jersey taxpayers. And we said that, what was the other one? The project managers would be the Walsh Group. They're the largest bridge construction company out there. So we would contract them to do the
Nice. Wow, you guys did your research.
And the stakeholders would be the citizens from New York to New Jersey and those who drive as well.
Right. Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm trying to copy and paste the deliverables into the chat box, but my computer is must be mad at me. It's not letting me do it. But Angie, do you mind just reminding everybody what the deliverables are due? It's in Schoology. The first one is I can just share it since Angie has it. Look at this. Wow, Angie, you're amazing. All right, go ahead, Angie. Floor is yours.
So for today, remember to at least comment to all the 10 reasons to learn PM. For Thursday, think of an example that you might do in your internship or career, write it out on a Word doc and include the first steps of initiation phase, which is problem statement, problem goal, and objectives.
Excellent. Can we give a round of a virtual applause to the amazing, yes, Angie, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone being here. And is anybody going to be upset if we end class early? Nope. Okay. Well, have a great rest of the day. It was wonderful being with you all as usual, and take care.
Oh, you're for real. I thought